Hey guys, so in this video, I wanted to do a quick tutorial on how you can set up Telegram to trigger your N8n workflows. And before we get started, I think it's useful to take a quick look at why Telegram is such a useful trigger to have, especially when you're just building out and testing your automations. So Telegram has a few distinct advantages. Number one, that it's free to use. There's no additional verification aside from just that OTP that you need to get started. It supports lots of different file types. And most importantly, the response format is very, very easy to work with. It's not like a huge response that you get with many WhatsApp APIs or even indeed Gmail or something similar. There's a very few objects in the response. So finding the data field that you need and working with it is super easy. And setting up the bots is also incredibly easy to do. So let's go ahead and set up a Telegram bot and implement that as a trigger in our N8n workflow. So the first thing that we need to do is, now that we have a blank workflow over here, we need to go into Telegram. And in Telegram, you want to chat with a user called the Botfather. This one here, Botfather, right? At Botfather, you can just go ahead and search for this. You can go back, and once you're in Botfather, you want to type /new bot. All right, so it asks you, what do you want to call it? So let's call this N8n Telegram tutorial. And we also need a username. Usernames can't have dashes. You'll need to add underscores for this. So let's go ahead and do that. N8n tutorial bot. And it has to end with bot. And that's very important, right? Okay, so that's already done. Let's go ahead and call this shub N8n tutorial bot. Perfect. So we have our bot here. The next step is to copy this HTTP API token. Just highlight that and copy it. And you can click on this link up here in this message to go ahead and open up your bot. So now we're talking to the new bot. Let's go ahead and hit start. And we've started a conversation with our new tutorial bot. Now the next step is to go into N8n and click on this little plus icon. And from here, we want to select Telegram. And under Telegram, these are the 9 triggers that are available. So on all of these, you can even trigger it on channel posts if you're following certain channels, which is also very useful. But for now, we're assuming that we are going to trigger our workflows manually. So for that, we want to trigger it on message. You need to add your Telegram credentials. So under where it says credential to connect with, I've already got a few set up here. I want to go down and go to create new credential. Now in here, you're going to paste that access token that you got from the Botfather bot and hit save. And it's going to test it to make sure that the connection is indeed active. You can leave this URL as the default, and let's just give this a name so it makes it easier for us to remember what we are working with. YouTube Telegram setup tutorial. Perfect. Let's go ahead and save that. And if you have other members in your workspace that you want to give access to this particular API token, you can go ahead into sharing and you can share it with other projects or other users as well. Sharing is very useful because it allows you to share the credentials without actually letting the other people see the credential details. So it keeps it secure and it gives them access. So now that we have this set up, let's go ahead and first test this. So we are now listening for a test event. We go back into Telegram and I'm just going to type in hi. And we have our message here. So let's go to schema to make it easier to remember. So we have the message, which is a message ID. It has a from, which is your Telegram account information down here. There's an ID, first name, last name, username, etc. And then there's also a chat, and the chat also contains an ID, and there's a date and the actual text of the message itself. So as you can see, this is a pretty simple response format. There's nothing complicated here. So this was triggered on a message. Now let's see if the message trigger works when we try to send it a file like an image or a PDF. Let's go ahead and test this one more time. go back to Telegram, and I am going to find a file to send it. So I have a couple of files that we could work with here. Let's go ahead and send this image and see if it picks it up. So indeed, we have picked this up as well. So we have a couple of different objects when we're sending a photo. We have photos of various sizes. So it has a pretty small size, a medium size, and a large size as well. And let's see if we can trigger it on a file as well. On a PDF, that is. Let's go back here. Let's drop in a PDF and see if that works. Okay, perfect. So we have the PDF as well. And the last thing that we want to test with is a voice note. Let's go back here and hit test. Hi, this is a test. This is a test. And you can see that we also have a voice note. So now that we have our trigger set up and tested, we may want to do different actions depending on what kind of message we receive, right? So if you receive a text message, you may want the workflow to go in one direction. If you receive a voice message, you may need to transcribe that. If you receive a PDF or an image, you may need to do something else. So we have to set up some filters right after this Telegram trigger to make sure that everything is routed in the way that we need it to go. So in order to route different kinds of messages in different places, we need to use a switch block. So let's go ahead and hit the plus icon and search for switch. And you can see in the description, route items depending on defined expression or rules. So we have some values, and we can add routing rules. And as you add more routing rules, you will see that you get more nodes up here. Now, an easy way to implement this is just to have rules for images, have rules for PDFs, have rules for voice notes. And your fourth rule, which is a fallback, is going to be for text messages, right? And this is assuming that you are going to be using the bot and you're not going to be sending that bot anything else aside from these four things. So let's go ahead and set up the first rule. And in order to do that, we're going to need to trigger that. So let's go ahead and trigger a voice note. I'm going to go back into test event. Hi, this is a test. Right. So now that we have our event here, you'll see that we have a voice object, right? So what we want to set up in this switch is to see whether a voice object exists or not, right? So rule number one is voice. You go down to object and we just check whether it exists. And if we test this step, we'll see that we do indeed have an output down here. And instead of calling it output 0, let's call this voice note. All right. And if we click out, we'll see that when we did this, the voice note track was activated. Now let's go ahead and set something up for files. And this is assuming that you want to keep images and PDFs the same. But actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and have separate rules for images and for PDFs. So the next thing that we're going to do is let's go ahead and test this step one more time. And this time we want to send it an image. All right, so now that we've sent it an image, let's go back to the switch. And this time we can create a rule here where photo, which is an array, right? And we go down to array and photo exists, right? This is it. And the output name that we're looking for is image. And if we test this, we'll see that indeed the image route was activated. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and create a route for PDFs. So we go back to the Telegram trigger, hit test step, and we'll send ourselves a PDF. So when we send ourselves a PDF, the object type is a document. So what we can actually do is set up two filters because Telegram might consider a docx file a document as well. And since we only want to work with PDFs, we can set up two rules. So the first rule is going to be that document exists. And the second rule is going to be that the MIME type is application PDF. And actually what we can do is we can just check for the MIME type as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit copy over here on the application PDF. Let's go back here. And route number 2 is going to be where the MIME type And this is a string, which is the A, and we have the string thing here. Let's go ahead and add application PDF, and the output name is PDF file. And if we test this, we should hopefully see that we have the PDF root activating. Perfect. So we have the PDF file down here. So now that we have the logic set up for processing voice notes, images, and PDFs, what we can do is, instead of actually creating a fourth output, let's go ahead and go down to options and create a fallback output, right? And the fallback output is an extra output, which means if none of the conditions are met, it creates a new output for that to go to, right? And if we click out, we'll see that there is a fallback over here as well. So if we go ahead and test the workflow one more time, and now we type in a text message, that should go down the fallback route, which is the text. So this was just a pretty quick tutorial on how to set up Telegram with N8n, and a quick overview on how to process the different data types that you will send your Telegram bot to perform any actions within your N8n workflow. And if you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like, and it really helps with the algorithm and it helps more people find it. And please do subscribe to the channel for more N8n, make.com, AI, and automation content.